Here's the thing, though. The thing is that you take whatever the DHS says as truth, as the Bible.
They published the list.
Okay, yes,
Anna.
but that doesn't mean anything, Scott. These are the same people who told us that the people they had sent to that hellhole in El Salvador were the worst and the worst. They were gang members. And when independent journalists found out their names, which they did not release, and went through the records and the names, most of the people that were sent to El Salvador were not Tren de Aragua, were not gang members, and did not have violent records. These are the same people who lie constantly. These are the same people who said that a Cuban man who just died in ICE detention committed suicide when the medical examiner in Texas ruled it a homicide. Right. They lie time and time again. And you come here and
just today.
Wow, do these people ever stop with the damn lies? Here's Scott Jennings on CNN putting these damn liars in their place. They want us to believe the Department of Homeland Security is just one big propaganda machine, as if every agent, every officer, and every report is part of some grand lie. Think about how extreme that sounds. This is the same agency tasked with tracking criminals, terrorists, and traffickers at the border. But suddenly, their data means nothing because it doesn't fit their political narrative. Instead of addressing the actual crimes being reported, they just wave it all away and call everyone liars. It's not a serious argument. It's a convenient excuse to ignore uncomfortable facts and keep defending policies that clearly aren't working. This is exactly what we voted for, and that's exactly what we're getting.
ICE arresting more than 650 illegal migrants during a sweeping operation across West Virginia. For about 2 weeks, more than a dozen federal, state, and local partners teamed up to track down the worst of the worst, including child predators. Among those arrested was this Chinese national who was previously convicted on 2 counts of endangering the welfare of children in Ohio. A Philadelphia field office director for ICE saying, quote, "This operation demonstrates how strong partnerships between ICE and West Virginia law enforcement agencies enhance public safety and the integrity of our immigration system."
Wow, who exactly are they defending here? ICE is on the streets doing the job the public voted for, removing violent offenders, enforcing the law, and trying to restore some sense of order. And instead of supporting that, these activists and media figures at CNN are running interference and encouraging the viewers to block agents, question every arrest, and paint enforcement as the real criminals. It's hard, ladies and gentlemen, to understand this kind of logic. How did we reach a point where stopping rapists, murderers, and repeat offenders is controversial, but obstructing law enforcement is treated like some kind of moral crusade? That's the upside down reality on display here.
Today, 4,000 people, they put out the list, in Minnesota have been taken off the streets. Criminals, violent, rapists, murderers, pedophiles, people who've done very, very bad things. They're not backing down here. Would you advise someone, even if they're very angry, even if they don't like the laws, to insert themselves into the middle of an active law enforcement situation?
If they see something wrong, absolutely.
You would advise a person or a client of yours to literally engage in the middle of an active law enforcement matter?
If they see something wrong, I would say yes. I would say definitely
that's a crime.
I would say put your.
You're advising people to commit crimes.
What I'm advising
do you
people.
consider filming with your phone a crime?
Just to be extremely clear, because I know how these things get clipped and shipped around on Twitter. What I'm actually telling you, Scott, is if my client came to me and said, "Bakari, I was outside and I saw something going down and I saw somebody being abused and I went and tried to put myself in between them, or I raised the camera," do not hit officers. Do not spit on officers. But yes, by all means, if you see something wrong, videotape it. I mean, I can't sit here. My dad was a member of SNCC, right? He was a professional disruptor.
Holding a camera is different than inserting yourself or inserting your vehicle into the middle of a law enforcement.
But Scott, what was Alex Preddy doing in the moment that he was assaulted?
What was Keith Porter doing?
He was engaging with law enforcement officers. He was within inches of them.
Wow, these These people are truly lost. They're literally on national television defending people who interfere with federal agents doing their jobs. Think about that. ICE is out there enforcing the laws that were passed by Congress and supported by millions of voters. And instead of backing law enforcement, these commentators are making excuses for activists who step into active operations. That's not journalism. That's advocacy. And it sends a dangerous message. When the media normalizes obstruction, it puts officers at risk and turns routine enforcement into chaos. You have to ask yourself, who exactly are they trying to protect here? The rule of law or the people breaking it?
What happened was our officers were out trying to get a car stuck out of the snow when they were surrounded and assaulted and blocked in by protesters.
Well, you said, Madam
that were
Secretary,
inciting.
the officer was following his training.
He did follow his training because of an individual that was
point blank into a driver's window. Is that part of the training? How is that self-defense?
This is an experienced officer who followed his training, and we will continue to let the investigation unfold into the individual and continue to follow the procedures and policies that happen in these use of force cases. But let's remember the events that surrounded what happened yesterday on that tragic situation was that these individuals had followed our officers all day, had harassed them, had blocked them in. They were impeding our law enforcement operations, which is against the law. And when they demanded and commanded her to get out of her vehicle several times, she did not.
But you called
so
her
we'll continue to allow this process to unfold and recognize that these law enforcement officers every single day put their lives on the line.
Of course
they
they
go
do,
out
but
and
you
do their
called,
jobs.
Of course they did. You called her a domestic terrorist, though, without an investigation.
This was an act of domestic terrorism,
but there
which
had
is
been no
perpetuating
investigation into who she was or what she was about, and yet now you're saying
these
you
policies
can't speak
and
about the incident
procedures that
because of the
follow a use
investigation.
of force situation like this are continuing to be put in place. So this is standard operating procedure after every use of force situation, is that we follow these procedures and protocols. This situation is no different.
Kristi Noem is absolutely right. It was an act of domestic terrorism, period. How can CNN be so damn blind? I mean, instead of standing behind law enforcement and instead of backing the officers tasked with enforcing federal immigration law, they keep finding ways to defend the activists who interfere with those operations. They downplay the chaos, question the data, and shift the focus away from the people actually obstructing federal agents. Scott Jennings is right. Enough is enough. He's not being extreme. He's stating the obvious. Federal law is federal law. ICE agents are not rogue actors. They're enforcing policies that come from Washington. But no, on CNN, that reality gets buried under a narrative that paints ICE as the villains and protesters as the heroes. And instead of asking why people are interfering with active law enforcement operations, the conversation turns into ICE is bad, period. How dare they? Seriously, how dare they sit on national television and twist the conversation like this? We're talking about federal agents out there enforcing the law, doing the job the country asked of them. And CNN first instincts is to question them, undermine them, and defend the people interfering with those operations? What the heck do they think about the message they're sending? You've got officers out in the fields dealing with dangerous situations, trying to remove people who are in this country illegally, some with serious criminal records. And instead of backing them, CNN gives airtime to voices suggesting it's fine to step in, film, disrupt, and challenge those operations in real time. How irresponsible is that? This isn't a game. These are active law enforcement situations. One wrong move, one crowd that gets too aggressive, and someone gets hurt. And yet, the network treats it like just another political talking point, another chance to push a narrative. Where is the outrage for the officers being targeted? And where is the concern for the communities dealing with the consequences of failed democratic policies? It's nowhere to be found. Instead, it's sympathy for the protesters and suspicion towards the people trying to enforce the law. It truly feels like CNN isn't just reporting on the story. They're taking a side, and not the side of law enforcement, not the side of the public safety, but the side of disruption and obstruction. What a joke. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.